it's Keith Keller in Melbourne, Australia. And I have a very, very, very special show today. A friend of mine from Melbourne, 10 minutes from my house, and we've never met, is coming on my show. And we're going to broadcast this around the world. But of course, she works in Melbourne. So if you live in Melbourne or you're coming to Melbourne, I want you to. I want to introduce you to my friend. I'm sorry, I haven't correctly pronounced your name, but I think it's Ksenia Belova. Is that
yes?
right?
That's
well, I got it in one. And we have a winner. So today's show is going to be a little bit different in the sense that we're going to talk about personal branding is much more than pretty pictures. Now, I specifically chose this image because it is so obviously AI. Gorgeous. High res, JPEGs, 4K. But the point is it's not real. And Ksenia does the exact opposite. Can you tell us a bit about this? What this means and why what you do is so important? Because you're getting what I'm saying is you're capturing the essence of the person, and you can only do that when you're in the room with them, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. AI is cool, and the image that you picked is interesting. Let's put it this way. But it will never, ever give you the feeling and that real, genuine, authentic connection with your audience. That's the big difference. If you want just a headshot, just a pretty photo, yeah, go for it. I'm not against AI. But if you really want the experience and if you want to go deeper in yourself and to see yourself through someone else's lens, well, in this case, it would be me. It can be any other photographer who really knows how to connect and how to read the person, then you will need to have courage to step in front of the camera. And I know there's a lot of people who are not liking having their photos taken, and most of my clients come to me and they say, I just do not like it, because there is so much fear of being seen, so much judgment towards themselves as well, and thinking, what will people think of me? Is it too vain? Is it, am I gonna, be seen in a way I don't want to be seen? So when there's so much stuff that comes up, it's, yeah.
Is it tall poppy?
Yeah, in a way it is. But you know what? Like, because I work with so most of the businesses that I work with, my clients, they are purpose driven. When you've got a purpose, when you really run your business because you want to make a difference, because you want to make an impact, it's not just for money. Money comes as a consequence. When your purpose is so big, there is no fear anymore. Nothing else can stop you. So it's not about you being in front of the camera and showing how cool and beautiful and glamorous you are, but it's about how many people can I help? How many people can I attract and help in what I do? Because if you are an expert in your field, you want to spread that expertise, you want to spread your knowledge, and you don't want to do a disservice to these people if you hide yourself. That's where a really strong personal brand is sitting on, and images is part of it, because that's the visual, that's the first contact.
Yeah. Look, I love this discussion because I love radio. I love radio. And look, I'm not afraid to get my photo taken. I'm really fascinated to hear that this is the reason why. I that's not my wisdom. That's not my reason. Like, I love being at home. I just hate traveling. I love being at home. If I could send you a photo of me and you could fix it, I'd be up for that. And you're only like 10 minutes from my house. Like, you're 10 minutes from my house. So I'm very fascinated by this. But what it is for me is that for me it's the convenience factor of the internet. But I think we've got to touch on a couple of things. I did 2 polls this week on LinkedIn. One is, what do you want me to talk about next? Because I do 3 shows a week, right? And I want to talk to the pain points that people have. I can talk forever about anything, but it's no point if no one's listening. There's no point if no one's listening, right?
Yeah.
So I did a poll, and 43% of people that voted so far said, you know what, I want to know more about this thing they call personal branding. How can I get my message out to more people? Right? And I said, wow, 43%. A few other people talked about other things, but that was the most dominant thing that people wanted to know about. And so, with that in mind, I actually asked the question, okay, well, what does a personal brand mean to you? Is it just pretty pictures?
No.
Is it having a strong message? Is it being authentic? Is it being different? Right? And I really want to pick up on this because, you know, we can mention several people about this, but the people that have strong personal brands, sure, there's a picture of them, and that's what they look like, and they might be in their natural environment, but they've built a brand around who they are as people, right? And I will really want to pick up on this. So when someone comes to you with that, how do you tap into that essence so that is portrayed? That's a very fascinating question.
Thank you for the question. I love it. So the way I do it is tapping into that person's energy. I'm all about energy, and just really tapping into seeing beyond the aesthetics, seeing beyond the physical body, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And because I shoot for the future, I can see that potential in the person.
Wow. You can see where it's going.
Yes. And obviously there is a process involved. There is a very detailed questionnaire where I ask my clients about their big goals, where they're heading, what they're proud of, because it's a celebration shoot. It's not just, okay, I need photos to put myself out there. It incorporates everything. It incorporates your journey of what you've done and where you're heading, because that future embodiment is so important. And it's being clear of what you want to do and where you want to be, and then putting it together with who you are, what your personality is. And it's that blend that creates a powerful personal brand, because nowadays people buy from people. They don't want a brand that just sells them stuff. If they connect with a person, they will buy anything from you. If they can relate from that person, if they can relate with your story, with your vibe, with your energy, and you won't be for anyone. Like it's okay, like that, some people will like you, some people won't. But it will just help so much to focus on who your ideal client is and who you want to work with, because you don't do your business just for the sake of just making money. Yes, okay, you can make money. Obviously we want to make money out of the business, but you want to enjoy it too. You want to work with people who are aligned with you. So it's that alignment in all areas. That's where a strong, beautiful personal brand happens.
I totally, mate, I am so into this. I'm so into this because the very, very important thing is that most entrepreneurs are not into it for the money. Like we're just not. Like money is money, and that's fine. It's good to have a house and a fancy car and to go overseas every year, but you can do that in about a million ways.
Yeah.
But when you know in your gut what you do, what you stand for, what you're on about. You
Mm.
know, it's indescribable to someone who doesn't know this.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked for myself since 2006, and I didn't even wake up until I was 40.
Mm.
You know, for 22 years I worked in a job, right? And I got paid, but I was dead inside.
Yeah.
I've got money. I bought a house. We went out for dinner. We went overseas, but the job was not mine.
Yeah.
When I moved to, you know what, this is what I do. I'm Keith Keller. I'm a brand. KeithKeller.com. Actually, I can't get the .com site to get the org. KeithKeller.org. You know, I am a brand. I am the dude. I am myself. I'm in charge. And more importantly, I'm responsible. Once you get that and you tap it, then suddenly that becomes quite magnetic, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. Magnetic is a really, really good word, because once you really show up as who you are and not who you think you need to be according to what society tells us.
Yeah.
But when you really align with yourself, when you speak your truth with yourself, and then it reflects on the outside world, this is where you start magnetizing, and you won't ever need to sell anything
Yeah.
directly. You don't want to say, oh, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. People will naturally gravitate to you and to what you do, because you do it with so much passion, dedication, and so much, again, it's that fulfillment that, as you were saying before, if you've never tried it for yourself, you don't know the feeling. But for me, it's one of the best feelings
Oh,
in
it's
the world.
it's addictive, isn't it?
It is. It is. That's a good addiction.
Yeah. Look, we've just had this is a very good example of what my show is. Ksenia, a mate of mine from Toronto, is listening in today, and what a lot of what we'll share will be very generic. But if you do live in Melbourne and indeed Australia, because you do a bit of a tour, don't you? I'm guessing you go to Sydney and Brisbane and maybe even Perth from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm planning to do it even more. Yes.
So you know you've got it's like I love music. And, you know, when a band comes, this is a very good analogy. In fact, I think I might riff off this analogy. I went and saw Green Day. Let's play this game.
Mhm.
I went to see Green Day because I'm a headbanger, a bit of a punk at heart, right?
Okay.
And so we went to Telstra Dome, what's now called the Marvel Stadium. That's
Mhm.
dating me a bit. So we went to the Marvel Stadium, 60,000 people standing in a room watching this band, three blokes. What's that about? Tickets were like $200. Why do we do it? The reason we do it is because when I was standing on that ground and they were playing, I completely lost myself.
Mm.
Nothing mattered. I
Mhm.
was completely absorbed
Mhm.
by that process. Now, I could have watched that concert on TV. I've got all their CDs. I've got Spotify. I could be sitting in my house listening to Green Day all day for $10 a month. But it's not the same as
Mm.
being in the room, in the stadium, when
Mm.
our hero is up on stage singing and songs we know and we're singing with him. And you feel it in your belly, right?
Yeah.
And this is I don't talk about this a lot because COVID really affected Melburnians, and we were forced to really the idea of being inside for 2 years completely changed my mindset. Like, I had to adjust, and we have everything delivered now. I
Mm.
hardly even leave the house between you and me. Well, it's not between you and me because 250 people are watching. But the point is that I don't leave the house anymore because I can get everything delivered. So this is quite fascinating to me that your business is based on someone coming to you, because that's the antithesis of the way I personally live. But I can see why you would do this.
Mm.
Like, if someone sent you a photo of them at the beach on their holiday to Rio and you touched it up, that's not the same as taking a photo of them
Mm.
when you're getting the essence, right?
Yeah, I can still do it. I can still, like, I mean, technically, I can touch up the photo taken on the beach. Like, that's not a problem. But it's not my purpose. Like, there are retouchers who will cost less probably if I do it, because my time is money. Like, everyone's time is money. But but yeah, that's the feeling, and that metaphor about concert. It's really powerful because you value the feeling and the moment so much. So
Yeah.
you don't care if it costs $200, if it took you 2 hours to get to the concert and 2 hours then to go back. So it's basically half an hour, half a day of your time, right? Which again costs you money, but you don't think about it because we always put the value. So it's never about the money, it's always about the value that we put on whatever experience we
Yeah.
are going
Well,
through.
let's pick up on this. What we did with Green Day, this is a very good example. This particular event has completely changed the way I view the world. Now,
Mm.
this is what we're saying. This is exactly how important it is. I love Green Day. I've got all of their albums, and I listen to them on Saturdays while I'm doing the washing. That's great. Cost me $10, and it's just $10 a month to have Spotify going all over the house. But I'm doing other things. I'm doing the washing. I'm making a phone call. I'm mowing the lawn. I'm doing the dishes. I'm making lunch. I'm not really there. I'm not in the moment. So what we did with Green Day, to pick up on this point exactly, is that we stayed overnight in the city. We
Mm.
made it a weekend. We went into the city at 2 o'clock. We're booked into a hotel. We went out for tea, dinner. If you're not from Australia, tea, and then we went to the concert, and then we came back and we stayed overnight. And we got breakfast included, and we were away from the house for about like 24 hours. But I'm still talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still talking about this day, and I'm going to remember that forever.
Yeah. And imagine, exactly. And imagine, so for you, that was an anchoring experience and very high experience of beautiful happiness moment, right? So imagine bring that to the studio when you've got your photo shoot experience, your personal branding experience with all the inclusions. With, if you are a woman, you've got hair and makeup. Well, actually, men do makeup too, like we call it the makeover. And you've got the stylist who styles your outfits and everything, and the way how you feel on the day when you are in front of the camera and you're really channeling that powerful energy, and you've got that extra boost of confidence because you see yourself, but you feel it. Again, it's all about embodiment. So the photo shoot then serves as an anchor to that confidence
Right.
feeling, and you can always go back to it when you feel some self-doubt, when you feel a little bit like meh. So that's where the power is. You cannot do it with AI, because again, that experience, that feeling is priceless. You cannot put a price on it, because if you feel confident about yourself, you will then feel confident about your business, because your business, if it's purpose driven, it's an extension of
That's right.
you, it's a reflection of you.
This is really important. When your business is an extension of you, your business is you.
Yeah.
Like, I went to the city for 22 years and I did a job, and I turned up on time, and I did what I was told, and I got paid, but I might as well have been in jail,
Yeah.
because I only went there because they were paying me.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I used to work in corporate too. And when you are a workaholic and when you've got very strong work ethics, you basically overwork. Well, at least I'm talking for myself. Like, you overwork, you give so much energy and so much of your talent for someone else to make money off your time, and you're
Yeah.
trading your time for money. And it's horrible. It's such a horrible feeling. Well, it's horrible when you know how it can be, like what's the opposite of it, because if
Yeah.
you've always done it for all of your life, it might be a normal thing for you. You might be feeling not comfortable, but it's okay. That's what I've done. You want to sit in your comfort zone, do it.
Can we explore that a bit? What was the trigger? I've got this story too. I quit my job at 40, but I had this feeling that, look, I don't care what happens from now on. Anything is better than this. Like anything, I don't care if I'm broke. I'll eat baked beans every day for the rest of my life. I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore. But what was your story when it came to corporate and leaving? This is a very, very powerful trigger for a lot of people, because a lot of people that work for themselves have had that corporate trap.
Yeah.
And there's a phrase we use called a corporate escape artist. I don't know if you've heard that phrase.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of people that say, mate, I can't do this anymore. Sure, I've got a really lovely car and I live in a lovely suburb with trees and birds and 3-story houses and a big TV, but I'm empty inside. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And we wake up one day and we hit the wall, quite literally. But I'd love to hear this story, your story. If you've done corporate and you've left, that's another thing we have in common. What did you do? Tell me that story, and how has it affected the way you view the world?
So I had one very big pivotal moment. So I lived in Italy before moving to Australia 13 years ago. I lived in Italy for 12 years, and I'm originally from Russia. So I've kind of traveled the world and lived in different places. And I loved my job in Italy. I loved my job because it was fun. I was working in marketing. I had a great team. But again, I had that feeling of just giving too much of me, and I didn't put much boundaries. And I had one big pivotal moment. I went volunteering in Africa, and it was only 2 weeks, but it was very powerful because I have seen a different perspective. So I was volunteering in this orphanage, and I could see these kids having nothing, and a lot of them didn't have parents. But they were still happy, they were smiling. And here I am living in Italy, going to fancy clubs, wearing designer clothes, just apparently like perfect life. But I was very empty, as you were saying, but I didn't understand what it was. But when I saw those kids, it just all made sense. Something clicked in that moment. So when I came back from Africa, 2 days later, I resigned from my job. And 6 months later, I took one ticket to Australia because I said it was just before I turned 30. This was the moment for me because I said, I don't want to commute to my job anymore. I don't want to waste time on superficial, useless things that, again, I didn't see that they were superficial until I saw what else was possible. And then in Australia, I had completely blank canvas and I could reinvent myself. And I just asked myself one simple question: what is it? One thing that when I do it, I don't look at the time, and photography dropped into my realm. And this is how I started photography, like long journey. So I've been doing it for 12 years now, specializing in personal branding for the past 6 years. But it's completely different change of career, and now I'm just living my dream life. My job doesn't feel like a job. I'm having so much fun, and I just feel so much fulfilled and just whole as a person because I'm doing something meaningful.
And you attract people like yourself.
Yes, yeah.
Because that's obviously why we connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And I work a lot on my personal brand because, again, as a personal branding photographer, I want to lead by example. So if I don't show up, like, how can I expect my clients to show up? So I'm constantly out there on different socials, speaking, events, everything, just being out there and being me, because I don't have to be anyone else. Because there are so many, other photographers. I don't believe in competition in general, because people want to buy your energy. They want to buy from you because you are the way you are.
I love this. I love this. Like, there's no other band like Green Day. There are other bands that sound like
Right.
them, but Green Day is a very good example. It brings it back to my reality. There's 3 guys called Green Day. No one else is like them. Other bands might sound like them. You could see a Green Day cover band at the pub near you, maybe the Morty Alex Sporting Club. Only Melburnians will get that reference.
Yeah.
Or the Kingston Centre, maybe, the Kingston Centre, the Kingston Town Hall, which is a
Yep.
So, you could go and see a Green Day cover band and they could sort of be a good knockoff and they play the songs well, but it's not them. Right. And the power of being there with Billy Joe, who is the lead singer, there was this, it's uncalculable. It's impossible to explain if you've never had it. There was an authenticity, an energy, a connection. Right. Now, my gut feeling is that you're going to attract a lot of these types of people to you.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
Because you're not a cookie cutter photographer that says,
No.
"Oh, look, it's $100 for 4, and you can have 8 for $250, and I'll send it to you as a JPEG in a nice little packet." And there it is. It's a cookie cutter product. Take it or leave it, and sign up here. Right? You're not that type of person. Look, this is my passion. Like, this is what I do. This is who I am. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
This is who I am.
Yeah, so, and I'm also, sorry to interrupt you, and I'm also very picky who I work with. I am very selective because I want to protect my energy and I want to just work with people who are aligned with what I do. So I don't do much corporate work unless it's a corporate with a different culture. But usually corporate people want just standard headshots with crossed arms that I do not do because I want to bring the personality. I want to show the human behind the business rather than just a pretty face.
Oh, I love this. I just love this. Now, one of the things I love talking about passion, I love this format, Ksenia. I love it. So this show is being broadcast to LinkedIn and to YouTube, right? And actually, I can send it to a third one when I find one to put it to. But what we've got is this show's going out throughout the world. And just to let you know, Jesus, I hope that's how you say it. Jesus is in Mexico. Americo is in Toronto. Marsha, I think, is in the US. I'll check that in a minute. And Cyrus is in Manchester, England.
How cool. Wow. We're so international. And we're in Melbourne.
and Ksenia lives 10 minutes from my house. I think we might go for a coffee at the Cheeky Monkey, yeah? Is that what they call it? The Cheeky Monkey or the
I don't know.
Monkeys Know Us? Monkeys can fly. Do you know that one? Monkeys Can Fly?
No.
That's in your street.
Yeah, well, I don't really go out around the studio. I just work there.
You don't do cafes?
No, not around there.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Well, you pick me. You pick your favorite. I'll meet you there. I want to just give everyone a chance to connect and ask questions. Hello, Marsha. Hello, Cyrus. Hello, Jesus. Hello, Americo. If you do have any questions, I want you to put those in the chat, and we'll bring some people in a minute to ask these specifically. So there it is. Cyrus is calling in from Manchester. Can you believe it? This is exactly why I do this show, why I love it so much. One of the things I'm very, very proud of, I just want to say this quickly, is that a lot of people say that because my shows go a very long time, they can't watch the whole show. So what I've done as a favor is I've created a 20-part series on SoundCloud. I put my sounds in the cloud. If you go to soundcloud.com/Keith Keller, there's all the highlights of all the shows I've done so far. It's completely free as a gift to you for being part of my team. That's awesome. And I do 3 shows a week. So if you go to Where is Keith Today, you'll get to see what shows are coming up. But most importantly, we've got questions from the audience. Cyrus is very big on branding. I'll bring him in a minute. But have you done anything like this, Ksenia? Are you starting to do some online PR? But you said you are out in the world of branding. Let's pick up on this. How do you brand yourself?
Hmm. It's actually the first time I'm trying this format, and I'm really enjoying it. It's super cool. I like also the aesthetics and the cleanness of it. So no distractions. So what I do the most is, so I show up on social media. So I do a lot of posting. Well, LinkedIn a lot, but not as much now because I've been more focused on Instagram. Mostly, I do a lot of guest podcasting, which I absolutely love because it's all the different topics. Because I don't talk just about personal branding, I love everything that's personal development, because I'm a life coach as well. So I love sharing the mindset part of it because it's all about mindset, like everything, all areas of our lives is mindset, and with the right mindset we can literally do anything and be unstoppable. So I do speaking as well, on different topics too, at different events. I do a lot of networking events. So I'm out a lot, both on social media, so online and in real life, because again, for me, it's so much easier to connect with people. I'm all about connection. It's so much easier to connect with people just by talking to them, and feeling the energy and just getting the vibe, because then I can decide whether those people are good for me or not, because that's also, when you've got the feeling, the gut feeling that's like, something is not vibing, you just walk away. So that's also important, and it works the same in business. So that's how I do my own personal branding shoots with a photographer, with a friend of mine. So
A bit of a tag team going on there. Someone else has got to take the shot.
yeah. Even the personal branding photographer needs photos.
And which of the social media sites do you find now are working for you? You mentioned Instagram. Tell me about Instagram. I don't use Instagram at all, but I know that it's very popular. Are you getting a lot of sort of kudos from there, a lot of kickback? It's very popular with Aussies, so I'm not surprised you're using it. Is it working for you?
Yes, it does. Even though I don't book as many clients from social media in general. Well, actually, LinkedIn has been. I'm the least time on LinkedIn, but I book more clients from LinkedIn, which is funny. But I'm having a bit more fun with Instagram because it's more visual, and obviously, being a visual person, a creative, I love the visual aspect, the fun and educational aspects of Instagram. But what Instagram does for me, and socials in general, because I rank at number one on Google in my area. As if you dial up personal branding photographer in Melbourne, I come up first, which I'm very proud of, organically, never paid for any ads. So what happens is when a person lands on my website, they check my work, and then they start checking my socials, because what happens is they want to know more about me, and they want to know if they can see my work. If they already love my work, that's one thing, but then they need to see if they can relate with my energy and with my vibe, because I'm known as a dancing photographer. Like, I dance a lot on my sets. I'm very vibrant, I'm very cheerful and joyful, and that might not be for everyone. So they'll go on socials, they check different posts, because I do I share a lot of backstage, what's happening at my shoots. I do a lot of like podcast episodes. Again, that's more expressing my mindset and talking about life in general. And I show a little glimpse of my life too. So again, so it helps me to create that extra connection and extra trust, because then they feel like when they come to the studio, they feel like they already know me.
This is actually very, very important. It's what we call social proof.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, and this has happened to me several times in the last few weeks, someone says, mate, I know exactly what I'm doing and I work with referrals. Okay, no worries. Have you got a website? No. Any blog? No. Got a YouTube channel? No. And I said, well, how am I going to find out about what you do? I trust you. If you say you're awesome, I trust you. But what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, you're like, I just work on referrals. Right. So I have no way of corroborating that they're awesome. I get them. I talk to them. I think, well, okay, I trust you. But where is that proof? Right?
Yeah.
So Instagram and social media in general, if for nothing else, is a very good example of social proof. Here's me at an event. I'm doing it. Here's a cool photo that I took. This is my style. If you like it, then we'll get along famously. If you don't get it, I don't mind because I'm already busy and I'm not for everyone. And I don't do those corporate headshots with the blue color in the background in a room when you're doing 15 a day. I don't do that style of photo. I do this personalized. I want to capture your energy. That takes time.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not for everyone. So I think this is incredibly important because I'm into sound and I'm into music and I'm into radio and podcasting. I did a 10-part series, exactly what you've just said. I did a 10-part series because for a very, very, very long time, from 2008 till 2022, I was the Twitter dude. That was my brand until Twitter got taken over and became something else. So from 2008 to 2022, I used to do exactly what you did except for Twitter. I would go to businesses and help them get the word out using Twitter, which was a funky thing, really funky. Not so much in Australia, but very, very good. And so what I did was I did a 10-part series called Crack the Twitter Code. And it's still available on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com, Crack the Twitter Code. And what I would say to people is, look, if you don't know who I am and you don't trust me, you listen to this 10-part series. Right, and you'll get it. And if you get it, bring me back and I'll come and get you and we'll go out for a coffee. If you don't get it, I don't mind, because if you don't get this 10-part series, nothing I say from now on will make any sense to you. And I think it's very, very important as a personal brand. Like the 4 parts, and I've got a poll on this. I'll send it to anyone listening today. The 4 parts are: 1, high quality images. Okay, you need images. That's good. That's the end goal. But you have to have a strong online presence. Like people have to be able to find you.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Even in Melbourne, Australia, working with people from Melbourne, people still need to be able to check you out, don't they?
100%, yeah.
So one of the very important things about a personal brand is that you have to have a very strong online presence. It's 2025. It's not 1985, right? So you have to have a strong presence, whatever that means to you. I do whole shows about this. We'll talk about this later. I believe you still have to have a very clear point of difference, and you do. Like, you are a photographer in Melbourne. There must be 100 people this side of the city that can do what you do, except that you do it very, very differently. Yeah?
Yeah.
I've got a camera. I've got a Canon SX50. I can take photos. I could just rock up to some random cafe and take your photo and charge you $50. But I'm not going to take the photos you take.
Yeah.
It's not the tool. You have a skill.
Yeah.
Right? You have a skill. So you've got a clear point of difference in your skill set that makes people want to come to you rather than just get me to take it. My wife took photos of me when I first started my business, and she's a good photographer, but it was just photos of me at the beach. And they were accurate photos, like they were photos of me. But they were very soulless because she knows me. She just said, oh, look, you want a photo? I'll just take a photo. Can we go to lunch now, please? I was taking time out of her busy weekend. Like, I can take your photo. I mean, we've been together 35 years. I can take your photo, but what are we doing? Can we go out for lunch, please? I'm a bit bored. She's not into it. She just took the photo as a functional thing.
Functional. That's actually really good.
Isn't that a good word? Isn't that a good word?
Yeah.
It worked. It was functionally correct. A photo of me, well framed, in focus, but there was no essence. She didn't capture me, the Keith. So the clear point of difference. The other thing we have to be, especially if we work for ourselves, is we have to be authentic. I could try to sell you golf balls, for instance. I could probably try, but I'm not into golf. I don't even know anything about it. And so after a while, it would just simply be, oh, no, I've got to sell more golf balls today because the Brent's due.
Mm-hmm.
And the Red Joe's due, and I've got to put petrol in the car, and I have to sell 20 golf balls today or else I can't pay my bills. I mean, that's not a way to live. You've got to have this authentic passion for what you do to have a really good brand. You have to have this authentic, don't you agree? You have to have this really authentic passion. And if you don't, that's okay. You can still make a living. But you're not going to have a very distinct brand, I don't think.
Yeah, 100%.
You have a very distinct brand. You'll be able to float along and you'll probably make your way in the world, but it won't be dynamic.
Yeah, and you also have to have a lot of courage to actually show up authentically, because authenticity is such a big word nowadays that everyone throws out and about. But to be truly authentic and speak your truth is actually can be very confrontational, because it's not just it's not fluffy. Actually, real, true authenticity and vulnerability is it can be pretty full on, like full on in terms of it's very introspective. You have to trust yourself so much, and you have to know yourself so well to put yourself out there without that fear of being judged. This is where true authenticity comes in. It's not, so it's, because a lot of people talk about being authentic, but how does it actually look like? It's not just, yes, I'm authentic because I like the denim shirt and it's my brand. It's not that, or just because I have a passion for my business, I'm authentic. It's authenticity within you at a very deep level, but with yourself.
Oh, this is very profound. I'm starting to resonate with this very clearly because I love radio, right? And I don't like video, right? And there's this trend in the world for everyone to be on video, right? And I played with it for a while, but then I said, and this is where the courage comes, you know what? I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you're not doing it, Keith? 52% of people want you to make videos. Well, I don't care. I don't want to do it. And I'm going to be myself because 28% of people want to hear me speak.
Yeah.
And I would rather talk to the 28% of people that get me as a person in Melbourne, Australia, who hates video, than talk to the 52% of people thinking, look, I don't really like this, but I'm doing it for you. Mm. And anyway, by the way, do you want to buy some golf balls? Yeah, I mean, that's when you do things because of trends and because people say you should, you're only half alive. I know you know what I mean, because we've been there. Well, you and I both have been there. We've been half alive, only very half present. On the surface, people go, man, you got a nice car, beautiful wife, nice house. You must be pretty happy. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Are you asking me that question? Or I'm not going to tell you if you don't ask me. But, man, I think we can do better. And so authenticity and courage and bravery, these are all words that entrepreneurs know like every day. Bravery, courage, authenticity. These are things you can get away with not knowing if you work for the man. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just do what you're told, turn up on time, punch out, get your paycheck, buy a house. I mean, anyone can do that. Not everyone, but most people can do that. Not everyone can say, you know what, I'm going to work for myself. I'm in charge, but I've got to do everything. It does take courage, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. And look, actually, not being authentic can cost you a lot, because you might go into conflict with yourself, with yourself and the outside world, because the outside world and the society tells us to be a certain way, to wear certain clothes, speak in a certain way. So we've got that conditioning of how it should look like. So looking inwards and really owning who you are, but you need to do, like, I again, from my experience, you can only know it when you are very self-aware and you've done lots of personal development too, because it doesn't come in a day, because it can be very confrontational for you, because that's getting rid of the paradigms and limited beliefs, and that, again, that conditioning that is so ingrained in our cells. So it's stripping down all of that and looking at the core of who you are, that sometimes might not be even that pleasant, because you used to do things in a certain way all of your life, and now you just don't resonate with it. So it can be pretty painful. Well, okay, we're going pretty deep here.
The thing is that it comes from conflict, internal. You wake up one day, like for me, it was 40. You know what? I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
What my story, slightly different story, because I was a musician. I've never had a corporate job. I only ever had jobs to pay for more equipment. I've always been a techie. So I went to a job I hated because I needed to buy a new amp, or I needed a new bass guitar, or we needed to buy a PA to do gigs, or I needed a car to put the stuff in. I didn't care what the job was. I just needed the stuff. Right? And on my 35th birthday, I remember this very specifically, 35th birthday, a long time ago now, I thought, it's my birthday. Now I've got to go to this job I really hate. And that was enough. But then the boss treated me so badly. I was in a shop working in a sort of a store, and he called me out in front of like 50 people. Mate, you're a dickhead. You're just such a dickhead. Can you just shut up and get back to it? And there was 50 people watching. And I thought, you know what? I don't have to put up with this. I'm better than this. I'm just a guy from Melbourne, Australia, but I don't have to put up with this. So I set an intention that within 5 years I was going to work for myself, and that I was just going to find a way to make my own money. I didn't know how to do it. I honestly didn't know. But I couldn't do that again. I had that moment, that feeling in my belly that I cannot do this again. And on my 40th birthday, I did go to the boss and I said, look, 2 choices. I want to work 4 days a week or I'm going to quit. He says, well, there it is, quit. So I did. And I said, well, I wasn't expecting that result, but okay. I put myself in a corner. And on, the day before Good Friday in 2006, I left. I said, mate, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not doing this anymore. Because that conflict came, that personal conflict, that I'm so fabricated, so false, so hollow, just to be able to fit in. I'm thinking it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I became the Twitter dude. Now I'm the social audio guy. Right? But the point is that I am myself now. And you can hear it in my voice. I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the life. It's literally it. Yeah, I can so relate to it, and thank you so much for sharing your story. I can so relate to it, because you can only make a drastic change when you reach the bottom. When I've read something the other day, you can you will make a change when your frustration is bigger. What was it? It was something about frustration. When you are so frustrated that you just cannot not make a change anymore because you're so frustrated and you're so you can't go back.
Yeah.
But you need like so many, and I'm sure like so many people can relate to this, and especially those who went from corporate to or corporate or working for someone else to working for themselves, because you just realize one day that you're like, you can't do it anymore, and no amount of money can hold you there. They can pay you $1 million, but because you've got such a different perspective on life and you start seeing your time as a completely different value as well, like money means nothing in that moment.
There's
And
nothing you can buy. I've often said this,
nothing.
nothing that I could buy would make up for this misery. I could buy anything. I could buy a Maserati, but it wouldn't make up for the misery I felt. And at the end, I'll tell you this story, and then I'm going to ask this question of Shemri. At the end of this story, and when I was 40, my wife physically had to put me into the car like a 4-year-old and said, look, I know you don't want to do this, but we need the money. We've just bought a house. I'll pick you up at 5 o'clock. And I felt like a child, like being told to go to school. And I'd turn up and I'd clock in at 9 o'clock and I'm going, oh, Carol's picking me up at 5:05. Only 8 hours. I can live. I can do that. So I'd go out for lunch and I'd go for my morning tea, and I had a little structure. And then at 2 minutes past 5, I'm waiting there on the corner. My wife picked me up and I said, guess what? I survived another day. He goes, yeah, you didn't die. You didn't die. And we just made another payment on the house. So keep going. But I thought, this is killing me. This is killing me. I hate this so much. And so I said to Carol, look, I can't do it anymore. I know this is going to cause a little bit of friction, but it's killing me. And why we are now so passionate is that we have escaped that.
Yeah.
So we know what it felt like to be in prison.
Yes.
And now we are free. And we are so grateful, so pleased, so joyful that we have escaped, that we never take for granted.
Yeah.
This is our life now.
Yeah. But you need to go through that part of the journey to really appreciate and to, first of all, to know what you want, but also what you don't want.
I love this. Please ask more questions if you want. Shemri, who's in the Philippines, just to let you know how global we are, Ksenia. I'm curious, what are the common mistakes people make when building their personal brand? How can we effectively use the social media platforms, and should there be a difference in the way we present content on these platforms? This is a very good question. 3 questions there. Common mistakes, social media, is there a difference? What do you think?
All right. So mistake number 1, overthinking. and really thinking too much on how your personal brand needs to look like. You have to have some sort of strategy, but experimenting, being curious and trying different things, and seeing what works for you and what doesn't. So yes, the mistake, I think the mistake I made, in the past, I was focused too much on the aesthetics of how my social media looked like and of how I sounded. I was scared to make mistakes. And again, I was thinking, and my perfectionist self kicked in. And because I didn't feel that my content was good enough, I did not post. I did not show up until I realized that I am perfectly imperfect. I am who I am. And I'm just a girl next door that, with a journey and with experience. And then I started just showing up. So another mistake is not showing up, and staying in fear of judgment. But usually what they say, when you have a fear of judgment, it's because you judge yourself.
Judge not, that you not be judged.
Correct. So that's number one. What was the other question?
The use of social media. How is that now starting to play out?
Well, that's related to the first one as well. Again, showing up constantly, but without the burnout. Just figure out what works for you in terms of be consistent, but decide first of all what platforms, and I'm now interlacing with the third question, what platforms work for you, that you feel where your ideal client is. And focus on those platforms. So for me, it's LinkedIn and Instagram, because I've got like similar type of clients on both platforms. So I don't do anything else because I'm focusing just on these two. It's so much easier to market yourself because it's easy to get lost into the content creation part, because it just can become overwhelming. So to avoid that overwhelm, I batch content. Once a month, I batch lots of content, and then I tweak it. And I adjust it according to different platforms. So it might be same message, but visually it will look and sound a little bit different on two different platforms. On Instagram, it will be more playful and more dynamic and more colloquial, like in terms of language. On LinkedIn, again, it's the same message, but it's just a little bit different formatting. I might use more pictures rather than videos. So again, it depends. It's all about really feeling what works for you, because it's so important to enjoy creating your content, because you don't want to approach this task because that's part of your job, right? And it's free platforms, well, unless you do advertisement. So I see it as, okay, that's part of my marketing. And I love creating content because it just creates extra connections with people, and I'm meeting new people from all over the world, and I'm getting to know them. And this is so cool, just that human connection. So again, it's about reframing how you see content creation, and what message you want to give to the world, and what part of you want to show. So it's all about playing with it, like being playful and enjoy the process. And if you don't feel like, just stop for a while and then just go with your flow. Or for some people, it works with more structured type of process. Like I'm more the flow type of person.
Same. Look, you've mentioned a couple of really cool things. This is very, very important, like extremely important. You can't do everything for everyone, so focus on the sites that work. What I know for sure is this is the very latest stats for LinkedIn. So just in case you think there's no one out there, there is. In Asia Pacific, for instance, Shemri, 323 million people have a LinkedIn account. That's 323 million people just in Asia Pacific. 255 million people in LinkedIn in America. 183 million people in Latin America, South America. 296 million people on LinkedIn in Europe, and 72 million in the Middle East. So the audience is there. And if you want to break it down a bit, this is how it plays out. So that's one platform, right? That's just LinkedIn. YouTube has 2.5 billion users. Instagram has 2 billion users. TikTok has 1 billion users, but you can't do them all. So, Ksenia, how do you decide which platforms have your target market? Obviously, you have to know who they are, don't you? You have to do that deep work to know, what I want to approach Australian women who have left the corporate world. Just say, not putting words in your mouth, but just say, where are they? Corporate women from Australia who have left the corporate world and now want to do something bigger. That's a message. Where are they hanging out? They're probably not hanging out on Facebook. They might be.
They might be. They might be. Facebook, even though it's a very outdated platform, but a lot of my clients are on Facebook as well because I work predominantly with women 45 plus. So in that age group, a lot of people are still hanging out on Facebook, even though I'm not a fan of the platform, but I have a lot of private conversations there because my work works a lot with referrals, even though I don't rely on them, but I have a lot of referrals. When people post my photos, they tag me most of the time on all platforms. So that brings awareness to me. So they start checking out my socials and everything else. So they might click on Facebook and go onto my profile. So I still keep my profile updated. So I use my personal page as my business page, basically.
A very good story. You know, even though you personally don't like Facebook, the people that will get you live there.
Correct.
So, but I'm guessing they probably don't live on TikTok.
They probably do. I want to get more on TikTok. It's just too much
Too
work
much
at the
stuff.
moment. It's too much stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm just focusing on the two. So yeah, I've done a lot of work on really figuring out the pain points of my clients and who they are and where they hang out. And again, it took me a while to really also get comfortable on LinkedIn because I had this preconception that LinkedIn is too corporate, it's just for people who are looking for jobs, but it has changed so much. And I even took LinkedIn coaching a year and a half ago with a dear friend of mine, Diana Nguyen. You might know her.
Dancing Diana.
Dancing Diana, yeah. So I photographed her several times, and she's a very good friend of mine. We go dancing actually outside of work. And she showed me a different vibe because I thought I'm a little bit too fun for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But she opened up my eyes to the fact that in order to make LinkedIn less stale, actually it needs more people like us who talk about like more fun stuff and bring joy and dance as well, because she got famous as a dancing Diana. This is how she built her personal brand.
I mean, that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
Dancing, it's a very good example of personal brand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Diana Nguyen, she's beautiful Vietnamese girl. But in a world where there's a lot of beautiful Vietnamese girls in Melbourne, it's a very multicultural city. And she didn't stand out initially, but then she says, you know what? I'm just going to be the dancing queen.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, wow, this is initially I thought this was quite bizarre. But I'm now talking about her. Like, I remember. She'll be so excited to know that we mentioned her on this show.
Yes.
As a random reference. What I remember about Dancing Diana is that she had the courage to dance on LinkedIn.
Yes, and she's so authentic, and she was talking about her egg freezing journey on LinkedIn, and people were like, really, LinkedIn? But that's where the trendsetters, like the leaders, this is what leadership is, when you actually get out of the box and you do whatever feels good to you, and you might ruffle some feathers, and it's okay, but that's what authenticity means.
I love this. And one of the questions I specifically want to ask you, because I love photography too, but I had a Canon EOS 50, but I now have an SX50, which is a hybrid, which is probably a bit of a cheat. It's a bit of heresy to talk about hybrids because I'm guessing you either got a Nikon or a Canon. We can talk about this in a minute. But what I'd love to talk to you about is 9-16 versus 16:9. As a photographer who sees the world in landscape, how are you adjusting to the 9-16 world?
I'm actually loving it because I see the world now through reels a lot. So even when I do all my videos on my backstage and documenting my life, like 916 is just it's just the way I see life. But when I photograph, I switch, and because I try to dive into a person, like a client's business. So when I shoot, I do both portrait and landscape because I'm thinking where that person can use the image. It could be, if it's landscape, it becomes a banner. So I'm thinking ahead of the versatility of the images. And I still love portrait modes in shooting because it's that close up, like that beautiful connection. Yeah, that the connection. So it's but I haven't been thinking too much about the sizes, the formats, to be honest. I just adapted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think of it, because you're a photographer, you would think in portrait mode because you're taking pictures of people
I
and
do both.
people.
I
Yeah.
do both. I do both. Like even my avatar here that you can see on this live, it's actually the landscape image, but then it can be cropped.
Yeah.
So I don't. I just do both, but I don't overthink about this technical stuff. And before you mentioned the camera, it's never about the camera. The camera is just a tool. It's like your microphone is just a tool to your craft and to your skill. I'm probably not the best technical photographer. Like I take great photos, but I shoot natural light. I don't like artificial lighting because it puts me in the box and it doesn't give me as much movement and freedom because I love to move around and just to see different angles. So natural light gives me that freedom. But I never talk about my gear. Like, I don't care. It's not about that. It's never about that. I can take a great photo with a phone. I can take a great photo with with a simple camera. I never focus on that. It doesn't interest me.
Oh, I love this. One of the things that we do, and this is very authentic for my brand, is we travel a lot because, I actually go and see these people from all these different countries that listen to my show. And we travel with a group called Intrepid Travel, which is very authentic for our brand because we're very earthy people.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader, this is a very good story. The leader of the tour took this photo of a bridge on a Samsung 21 Ultra. I'm into tech. I love tech. I can talk about tech all day. And I've got a Samsung 21 Plus. And I took the same photo and I sent it to her and she says, "Oh man, you must have a good phone." And I said, "Well, I've actually got a phone worse than yours. You've got the level up from me. And we were both here at the same minute and I saw the shot. Like I saw the shot. The camera doesn't take the photo.
No.
My eyes see the photo." And you are right. Tech is only one part of the story. I want to just say hello to Sarah. I'm guessing it is pronounced Sarah, even though it isn't such a cool spelling there. Sarah.
Yeah, I've never seen it like this. That's super cool.
And she is in Dallas, Texas. Ksenia, so just to give you an understanding where she is, she's saying that your personal brand is the most valuable asset you have and that great pictures are a must. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Sarah, if you want to come up on stage. We can actually have, this is the great thing about this format, we can actually have up to 10 people on stage.
Oh, cool.
So I'll start now doing a little bit of a ring around to see if we can ask some questions. What's your format? It's now 11. Do you have a 12 o'clock? Do you have to go? Well, how long have you assigned to this project?
Let's see. I can do until 11:30.
Yep. Okay. So why don't we just throw it out to some questions? But this idea that I love this story because people, and I'm sure this happens to you. People say to me, "Oh, mate, you must have a good camera. You take such good photos."
Yeah, I had actually someone recently tell this to me, and I said never ever say it. Tell it to a photographer because it was actually a client of mine, and I was showing her photos from the back of my camera, and she was like, "Oh, that's really yeah, your camera is perfect." I'm like, I almost got a bit offended. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Do you want to use the camera and then show me? I mean, I had a little bit like for a moment, I was kind of playing around with it, but I had a little bit of ego in that moment and said, "Oh, come on." But then I was just like, yeah, I've heard it so many times, and again, it's like telling to a chef, like this food is so great, your frying pan is amazing, like you know.
I have this running joke with my wife, and that is, look, your food is so much better because you take extra time.
Mm.
Like you and I both are equal. You just are more diligent. And she goes, "What are you saying, Keith? Because I chop the vegetables smaller, they taste better." Well, you do take a lot longer to cook than me, and I reckon that must be it. And I'm joking, but I say, but what about the skill of knowing you can mix chili with Madras curry paste, or that
Yeah.
knowing exactly how much coconut milk to have, or how much onion to add? Is that a skill, or is that just a fluke? Well,
Exactly. And what about that feeling and the intention that you put in the dish? Because when you cook in a bad mood, the dish wouldn't come up well. When you are in a happy mood and you are just really putting that love into it, the dish will be amazing. And it can be very simple. It could be eggs on toast, but they will be amazing. It's all, we're all putting energy in everything we do. Everything is energy. Everyone is energy. So it's an interesting topic.
it's very, very, very important. So my shows go over a very long time, so I'm just going to let you go when you need to go. But I'll just let you know exactly what happens here. We are multi streaming here, and so we are sending this file to LinkedIn and to YouTube. And this format allows for the replay. So when the show finishes, you can indeed watch the replay later, which is really cool for you, Ksenia, because you can send it to others.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to hear from you while you've got time to play it out, tell me about the podcasts you've been on. Tell me about the podcasts you want to go on. And do you do your own?
Ooh. So I've been on so many different podcasts. They are mostly, so I was guest podcasting with mostly my clients actually, because again, they run businesses and a lot of them are coaches. So the podcasts I've been to were, I wouldn't tell you the names now because there are again so many, and I don't want to give any priority to anyone else because all of them that were very different and very beautiful deep conversations, but mostly on personal development and authenticity, some healing, like all those kind of topics. So I would love to get on more podcasts as well, even internationally, because at the moment I've done most of them in Melbourne. But again, the topics can be business in general, and talking about the experience of running a business, of being a business owner, a solopreneur, on personal branding, on personal development, on a mindset. So these are my core topics that I love talking about and expanding. And in terms of my podcast, I've been thinking about it. I am still in two minds because it's a lot of work, and I don't think I have space in my agenda at the moment to do it because I want to do it properly. Even though I've got like a new microphone now, and I've got like the panels to build a little podcast place in my home studio, like in my home office. So I think it will happen. At the moment, I prefer being as a guest on podcasts because it also helps me to create content. And you were saying before that you don't like video. I love video content because again, it just creates that, it shows that person, just not the voice, but it shows the face of the person, their facial expressions, the eyes, I think it creates a better connection than just via voice, but that's just my personal take.
No, it's the most common scenario. But the thing that's very, very interesting, and this is a very good thing to end on, is that there's a new paradigm in the world of content called pod guesting. Now, the reason why pod guesting is so important is that you turn up and the host does all the work.
Yeah. That's why I love it.
That's not necessarily true, because I'm sure your sense of fairness will say, look, Keith's done a bit of work here, I'll help him. But the point is, you don't have to set up. You don't have to find the guests. You don't have to buy a studio. You don't have to set up your editing. And so this new paradigm called pod guesting, I didn't coin that phrase. It's not my word. But there is a growing number of people that say, you know what, I really do want to get the word out, but I don't want to have to sit behind the microphone. But I don't mind being a guest on other shows.
Yeah. And I love this. This is exactly what I'm doing because I'm tapping into different audiences that are still aligned with my ideal clients. And because I have my goal is to impact as many people as possible and spread the awareness and spread my experience and my knowledge, and maybe just inspire some people, because I talk a lot about my personal journey as well. And again, if it can touch one person, if one person can relate to my story, if it can help someone, my job is done. So it's a very easy way to get out there. Again, it needs to be a good podcast. It needs to be good audience and someone who is good at hosting it. And asking the right questions, because I wouldn't go somewhere just talking about superficial stuff and, what lighting do you use to take photos? I wouldn't go there because it's not, I would feel like it would be a waste of time. And plus, it's such a great way to create content, because from a video of like 1 hour, I can then trim it in the with AI, can trim it in little snippets, and then I can put them on social. So again, it gives me that extra content of me talking naturally, because if I just speak in the camera, I wouldn't sound as natural as when I have a conversation with someone.
Let's pick up on this. One of the other trends is what's called content creation, or UGC, user-generated content. Like, I want to share this story. I'm so proud of this story. Last Thursday, I was interviewed by my friend Americo in Canada. Americo lives in Canada, and I've always found that pretty amazing. He lives in Toronto. So what we did during the show is we said, here's a little game we're going to play. I want everyone on the show to think deeply about how we can repurpose this, and let's get 10 pieces of content from this one interview. You just knock yourself out. Give me any ideas you got. You know your talent, you know your skill, you know what tech you've got. Let's go for 10. We're currently at 15. Because people go, man, that was such a good show. I'm going to write a blog post about that. I was so inspired, mate. I'm going to have you on my podcast next time. Oh, I actually wrote I did a blog post about this. I did a podcast about this. I made a little video for you. And so from one show that went 1 hour last week, we've had 15 pieces of content created by people who were on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is like a hidden gem because you said the power of pod guesting is content, right? You could, if you wanted to, sit up and make a cup of tea and go, okay, got to create content today. What am I going to talk about?
Exactly. That's what I mean, because it just becomes so much easier. So much easier. And you can get inspiration as well
Yeah,
to
because
do
it's
the
real.
written post. It is real. And again, it's that creating that connection, the genuine human connection, because people need human connection, especially after lockdowns, after what we've been through during COVID. And you've got, a story, we will have a story to tell about COVID times. But we're craving that genuine connection.
And what sites do you use? This is a little bit of the antithesis of what you've just said, but can you explain your process for creating content? I'll give you a bit of a clue. This particular interview is being live streamed to LinkedIn and YouTube, and it will create a recording. But I can also download the MP4 and send it to you. But what would you do with it after that?
With the audio, I'm not sure if I do anything at the moment because I've actually never had an experience with just the audio.
So when you do podcasts, they're video podcasts?
Yes. We do on Zoom, mostly Zoom on Riverside, and then I can have clips. But I don't know. I haven't thought about it, to be honest. I'm not sure. I've done a little video of the screen of while we are talking. So I'll be doing a story on Instagram after that.
What happens here is that this creates an MP4, which means, because this is technically a video, right? And that will go for about 90 minutes. And I can also send you, if you want, the audio only version. But I'm very fascinated by repurposing because there's one of me, right? And I can do all this myself, but it's so time consuming.
Yeah, it is. And
so if we can all work together, I think this would be better. So I'm going to let you go because it's getting towards 7:30, sort of 11:30, 7:30 in the US, I think. Do you need guests? If you do, Ksenia Belova is your gal. You got to get her on your show. And when you do, I want you to tell me who's doing it. And there's this little game I play. I love this little game. I play this game, which I call a Keithy. It's not a selfie. It's a Keithy because two people that have never met meet because of my show and they take a photo.
I love it. Okay.
It's a little game I play. Now, my friend Americo, who lives in Toronto, may meet my friend Sue, who lives in Toronto, and they're going to take a Keithy at the cafe. But you might take a Keithy on Zoom or Riverside. Imagine if you go on someone else's show as a result of them hearing this show, and then you take a screenshot of that. Now, we are all helping each other, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. No, I love this, and I love connecting people as well, and I really appreciate when other people have that open mind of connecting others too, because I'm usually the one connecting everyone with everyone, whoever feels aligned. So it's really good to to have this experience with you now, just having genuine intention of like putting it all out there, because it's all what goes around comes around, and it's all karma and
you have different skills. You have a very different skill and a different way of being to me. Like I can tell you for sure, I never ever go into the city. Like you might be going, you probably go in every day. I never go. I never go into the city. I went to Green Day. That was a big adventure for me. It was so like traumatic. I had to stay overnight. So I never go to the city. Never. Right. So, walking to the shops to meet someone for a coffee is like about as much as I'm going to do, because I get so much power out of talking to my friends in the UK and in
Mm.
Europe and in London and in the Philippines, that it's quite addictive. I mean, I get lots of power that way, and that's the way my power works. I don't like in-person events. I don't get them. I don't enjoy them. That's not how my energy works.
Mhm.
I don't feel that,
Mhm.
whereas you would be different, and that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's where we're all different, and it's good to know what works for you without forcing yourself. And there is absolutely no judgment on anyone. If just just being you and owning the fact that you don't like that, and that's fine. Like there's
It's
no.
authentic for me.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. And
It's
just stick
authentic for
to
me.
it. It's just stick to it. Like that's very respectful. That's owning your truth and owning who you are.
Yeah. Now I'm going to let you go. I'm going to play a little sound, and then I'm going to end this stream. But because my shows go a long time, I'm going to do an after party, which will continue on LinkedIn and YouTube as normal. But you can go on with your day.
Awesome.
This will create a replay, and I will also, for you, I don't normally do this, but I'll download the video and I'll send it to you. Well, let's just see how much content we can create as a result. So I'm going to refer back to this very, very, very artificial, non-Ksenian image. You've been listening to Personal Branding is so much more than pretty pictures. If you want to know more, I do have a SoundCloud account. Please have a look at that. I'm going to play a little sound and then take you out. And then Ksenia is going to go on with her day. And I'm going to start a new stream for all of the questions as part of an after party. So I'll see you around.
Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you for everyone as well who's been sticking around and listening. Very, very much appreciated.
Oh,
And
you're very welcome.
yeah, and just keep your personal brand alive. Just be you. Just show up.
I am being myself. That's great. You've been listening to Keith Keller in Melbourne, Australia.